We got to hear from the Canes today, and of course, they're hitting the field to rev up for the 22 season. The Wholesome One's here and ready to roll. So get those comments and questions there in the live chat for some Miami football talk here for the next 60 here at the Voice of College Football. Wholesome One, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mark. I'm doing good. I fired up from earlier today, and then I get the chance to come and talk about my Canes. It's a great day, man. It's a great day.
Absolutely. Always enjoy the show with you. So here we go for number 265 overall.
Let's do it.
All right. Media Day.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the ACC kickoff a couple weeks ago. That's when the entire conference gets together. But this is the big deal before training camp. All the teams will meet with their local media. And did you get anything out of what was stated today?
Man, within the last 24, 36 hours, a lot of talk. A lot of talk about the University of Miami football program and the battles, Mark. The competitions that we have to bring back the Green Tree practice field and the Carroll Sofer. Me or Cam or anyone else who gets a chance to sit here and talk about Miami, some of the things we love to bring up is the great battles that have happened on Green Tree practice field. Our previous head coaches and currently head coach, Coach MarkRogersTV, talks about the fact that on that field, the best games, 60,000 people weren't there to see. The best practices, even at Alabama, they talk about that. Under Bobby Bowden at Tallahassee, Coach Jimbo Fisher and his time at Tallahassee on those championship teams that he had there, it was all about what was happening on the practice field. And how you create these championship teams is from the preparation and the practice. And in preparation is not just lining up and going through cover 3, cover 1, cover 2. Preparation as far as what we're doing in the film, what we're doing in the weight room, what we're doing in the kitchen, and how we're policing ourselves with players only. Those kind of things, that's in your preparation. And in your practice, how do we maximize these 16 to 20 periods that we have to get the absolute best out of our young men, and how the coaches are handling those things. And then what happens on Thursday night or Saturday night, we get a chance to battle against our opponent. And you're judged on those three things. And Coach Cristobal and his entire staff was interviewed within the last 36 hours. Now, different videos are popping up in preparation for tomorrow. So there's some interviews out there with Coach Joe Salavea and Coach Aday and Frank Bounce, who was our quarterbacks coach, with a bunch of those people. Shout out to Christopher Stock. If you all have not subscribed to Inside the U, go over there. It's a great place where you can sit and watch all these one-on-one videos and get, quotes from our coaches, because everyone isn't blessed to have a media pass. But what he and Caneville, Footballville, those two places, what they do is they bring that to the public and make it free for everyone to be able to listen to some of the things that are said. But it's been great. And I love it because, Mark, we're getting towards the end here, and the clock is coming down where it won't just be about this. It won't be about the video games anymore. It won't be about all the talking or apparel. It'll be about football. And I'm excited because we are going to be able to start putting on the helmets, fitting up for the shoulder pads, putting the new gray extra padding they put on top of those helmets so that you don't hurt each other, and you could actually practice really hard and you don't feel anything. We'll see it. They get to line up on dummies. No more. We're running in the sand and we're doing conditioning all day long and lifting weights all day. It's going to be about referee over there, blowing the whistle, and playing football.
So when we get past what happens initially at training camp, which is players have to take physicals, they get measured for everything, all that sort of thing to get them prepared to get on the field. Once they get on the field, give us a feel for what those first reps look like in practice, from the grassroots, ground level, just getting started.
Mark, I tell you, one of the most beautiful things you hear is when the guys, that initial roar, guys are coming out the locker room, fired up, screaming, helmet in hand, and they're running out there, and they hit that white line and they're going. and coaches are out there, grad assistants, student assistants are out there. You hear that very first whistle blow and get on the line. You start out with something just to get the blood flowing, to get the energy going. You got high knees or something like that. They're just firing out of their 2-point stances and getting fired up, doing up downs, whatever. Then we get them out there in the stretch lines. And as they're on those stretch lines, Mark, you're walking up and down, and hey, remember this, remember that. It's go time. It's go time. It's time to, everybody's talking, and the DBs are talking to receivers. O-line, D-line don't really do that much talking. You're going to see that in a couple minutes when we go do one-on-one. So there's no need to be talking too much there. But receivers are talking trash. Quarterback's kind of quiet, trying to make sure he's focused in on what blah, blah, blah. So most people kind of leave them alone. Don't go over there and bother them. But DBs, man, my favorite people to walk by and say something because they're going to fire me up. They're going to, they're cracking jokes and ready to get out there and lock one-on-one. And it's beautiful, that part. Then we get out of that and you do the jumping jacks or whatever, and you break off into individual. Now, in these individual drills, that's where you start to see that excitement level take another step up. DBs are catching the ball, defensive linemen working moves, rip and pull. You see them get real anticipatory for it because you can't wait to hit the other guy. All this, you don't want to hit the dummy no more. I want to hit the other lineman. I want to push the receiver. I want to run into the linebackers, things of that nature. So you see them go from that. And then all right, 7-on-7, O-line, D-line, one-on-ones. And they get all fired up about that. And that initial rep where you hear that clank and we go into each other and you're like, I missed that. I missed that. Now it depends on if you talk about first day pads or first day just helmets or shells, because O-line, D-line is going to be physical no matter what. We can go out there with no padding whatsoever and blow the whistle. They'll run into each other. That's just what we do in the fronts. But helmet on and shoulder pads and ready to get after it. That we don't go straight to one-on-ones. You got inside run, or 3-on-3 with a running back and a linebacker behind them. All kinds of stuff that's happening there, Mark. But it's nothing like that initial first day because everyone has just been waiting for this moment. Shout out to you, Tim. Much love to you. Waiting for that moment to get back and not only to smell football or get close to it. Now it's here. Now we're taking stats, we're videoing everything, and it's time to hit somebody else in the mouth. But it's beautiful, and it's the energy around it, and even over in the water cooler, people talking trash. By practice 3 or 4, we've had a couple fights because now you're tired and you're angry. You're like, I'm tired of running into you. Just move out of my way. Or a receiver. Some of the DBs like to mess with receivers and follow them all day. Your hip pocket all day. They go to drink water and they're standing right next to them. They try to go to one-on-ones or individuals in the corner or follow the receiver. All those funny stories you hear about those things and just the back and forthness that happens in training camp. It's usually super exciting. And people get the wolf beards and they haven't shaved in a while. Their hair looks crazy because it's about football. It's about football.
There's a lot of hate in this live chat early.
It's all good, man.
It's coming from all parts of the country, in state and out of state.
Hey.
All right. We're focused on the Canes here. Here we go. So before we get to some of the position battles and just talking about Mario Cristobal setting that tone for position battles to be waged, just to get to some news here, you had let me know before we started to record that tackle Zion Nelson will miss the first 2 games of the season. Do we know why?
So there was a picture that surfaced where he had on this big brace. Supposedly just it was a knee scope. And supposedly it'll be precautionary reasons why. I don't necessarily, if it was something big, I think they would have reported it. If it was something big, he wouldn't just miss 2 games. So I think they're going to have him out for at least the very first game against Bethune-Cookman. Also, reason being, there's been a lot of hype behind John Campbell. That name rings a bell. Number 74. Last time he started for Miami was way back in 2020, and he's been battling injuries since then as a tackle guard hybrid. And he's been talked up not only by our head coach, but by the media as the guy who's going to step in at left tackle while Zion is going to be gone for a little bit, nursing that injury, and then he'd be able to move over to right tackle, maybe right guard, and be in the battle there. But there's a bunch of battles going on that front. And, we don't know who the starters will actually be just yet. We have a good idea. Yeah, so according to them, Zion Nelson will be out for a little bit. And maybe by the second game, we'll start to see him come in, maybe third quarter, fourth quarter against, is it Southern Miss? I think it's Southern Miss. Yeah, Bethune-Cookman, Southern Miss, Texas A&M, and then Middle Tennessee State. So I believe in the middle of that second game, he'll come in, because you don't want to just throw him out there against Texas A&M. That wouldn't be good. Not good for the young man, not good for team chemistry as a starter to just jump out there in an environment like that at Cal State.
So another thing you mentioned to me before we started to record was just Mario Cristobal, and he's already stated this throughout the off season, but now it's go time about position battles, and that nobody's secure, everybody fights, everybody shows that they've got to step up and actually win the job, not be given the job and then have to lose it. So just talk about what that does to a team, what that does to athletes that know that their job's on the line and they got to go get it done.
Man, I think what it does more than anything is it brings a certain mindset into camp, because all of these things are taken into account as to who the starter is. Now, in today's ball, starting doesn't necessarily mean everything. Okay, I remember maybe 10 years ago, you could say starter. That person's going to get like 95% of the snaps, if not like 100. Now, we're rotating so much, trying to keep fresh bodies in the game, and that's just not a Miami thing. That's just a sport in of itself. Now you hear about you can make the 2 deep. Okay, now maybe at positions like defensive end or wide receiver or cornerback, you can get as low as 3 deep, because you may be a situational player. You're a shorter corner, you might be a nickel. All right, you're a crazy speed rusher who's still light in the ass. You might be just an edge rusher. You come on to get in and get after the quarterback on third downs. Wide receiver, you might just be a short blazer. You come in the slot, or if they find a short corner or slow corner, they put you out there. If you're a 6'5", they put you out there for a jump ball situation, things of that nature. So when it comes to having young men understand that nothing is given to them, that this is earned, they tend to walk into situations with, I'm in a battle. This isn't, I'm in front of you and you're chasing me. It's both of us are chasing after this line, regardless of who's in front or second or third right now, doesn't matter. In the spring, it didn't matter. Right now, they set off a new gun, pow, and we're going. And now I have to beat you to the start, to the finish line. And that could be because I show up more often than you do on film. It could be because I influence the game in a certain way. It could be because you're 6'2", I'm 6'5". That 6'2" dude is just giving high effort, and I have too many minuses in the effort category. And maybe he's the starter and I'm the backup. Everybody looking at me like, why are you not starting? You the 6'5", 285 dude. And the 6'2", 250 dude is just effort. And he shows up on film, he's swatting passes down, he's dropping back in coverage. He knows the assignment. When coach calls whatever coverage it is, he already knows where he's supposed to be. He's a communicator, he's a weight room guy. So you gotta get that sense of entitlement completely out of your program. You gotta get that sense of, I'm the 5-star corner out your program. You can't have a guy like Tracy Howard walk in and just because he's the 5-star corner out of Miramar, and the 3-star, 2-star, 3-star corner out of American Senior High School, and Larry Holt, who early enrolled and was starring in practice and high effort guy, just as good, same size, same speed, all that. But just because the other guy's the 5-star, he starts, and Larry Holt has to transfer because you won't ever put him on the field again because the 5-star's there. You can't have that. because then that just makes a young man relax. Because then that Mark, they're gonna know at the end of the day, regardless of all, that's just coach speak. I'm starting because I've been here longer, or I'm starting because I'm the 5-star, or I'm starting because I'm a transfer. You can't have that in the program because it just really doesn't allow them to psychologically keep giving effort. Okay, keep giving high effort, and to play all the way through. Because even if we're done with the first couple of games, when it comes to playtime, now it's not about who's the starter. It's about playtime. Are you getting snaps? Are you on a NASCAR package? Are you running down on specials? Are you on the travel squad? This year when we go at Texas A&M, are you going to be on the bus and get on the plane and go with us? Or are you the guy in the artillery that we read about because you're the 4-star defensive end? But then when we go to away games, we don't see you, or receiver. The reason why I always talk about D-line is because that's what I play with coach. So I know what goes into those kind of things. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing. And the other part about it from a coaching perspective is keeping the young men not only motivated, but if they're down, if they're hurting, if they're feeling like, I don't want to be here anymore, this is too hard, or it's nothing I can do to get, just continually motivated. Continuously say, I see you. Even little things like that, Mark, and you have to know your players. You have to know your players. If you allow your player to know that anything he does good, you emphasize, and that doesn't allow him to keep pushing, then you can't do that to him. All right. If you know another young man, he's going to get down in the dumpster if I don't recognize him, if I don't give him a shot, if I don't tell him I love him, if I don't tell him I appreciate him, he's going to be down in the dumpster and feel like nobody sees him. You have to be able to know your players in that instance. And when it comes to camp, they're really fired up anyway. So you have to be able to try to stretch that through 16 practices over 3 to 4 weeks. You have to be able to stretch that level of intensity, because by practice 8, 9, these guys are beat up. But the ones that stand out are the ones that keep going and keep going and keep going, even when their body is hurting and they have to sit in the ice tub. But they just keep going. And those are the guys you usually see win those battles.
I am scanning the channel for comments, looking for comments, not the chat, because I've gone through the chat, but scanning the channel to look for any reasonable, interesting, insightful comments or questions, but I'll come up with my own because I'm not finding anything. So we're talking about position battles. Why does that not apply to quarterback?
Specifically in our situation, or
yes,
generally? Yeah. Okay. TVD's your leader. And I think he's done enough, not just in the season. I think he's done enough from spring through summer training, through player-led 7-on-7, where he is our leader. He's our program leader. And I also look at the people behind him, Jake Garcia or Ja'Cory Brown, or these guys. They may be leading second and third team, but I don't know if they're going to get many first team reps. Okay. Thank you, Ed Rogers. Appreciate you. I don't know if they were out there with the first team guys. They know too much about, what's going on the first team level. And I think he's truly earned the love and respect of everybody on this roster. It would be different if we had someone who's like an a-hole or a stuck-up guy or a cocky guy. TBD is a very humble, hardworking. I mean, this dude was in tears because he threw the game-losing interception against North Carolina. He's furious because of the Tallahassee loss. Going off on, not all coaches are the people, but angry at himself. He's first willing to look within to find the problem before he starts to point the fingers at other people. Did I throw that ball too hard? Did I throw the ball in a situation where my receiver is a kill shot? And I'm the reason why he dropped the ball, because I put too much on it, or put him in a situation where the corner could make a play, or I didn't get rid of the ball fast enough. That's why my right tackle gave up a sack. when you have young men who are willing to do it, especially at the quarterback position, it really stands out. It stands out. And TVD's soft spoken when it comes to the media, but in that locker room, he's very, very well respected and very vocal. And our young men appreciate him. Our young men stand up for him. All right. And again, no slight to Ja'Cory Brown, no slight to Jake Garcia. Those young men will have their time in the sun if they do come, they stay at Miami. But I believe this is TBD's team, and not because it was just gifted to him. He's earned the right to where this might be a battle in the classroom, so where you keep him on his toes, but at the end of the day, he goes. He knows where he's supposed to be, where he's supposed to go with certain balls. He can see the film. He knows what's happening in the film, the defenses that we're going to play, all those kind of things. He definitely brings to the table. And he's, again, his own highest critic. And that, to me, is such a great attribute to have at the quarterback position.
Wholesome One's here breaking down Miami football. Get on over to his channel, Wholesome One Holloway, right here on YouTube. And please like the video, everyone. You can at least do that, like the video. And we would love to get bigger and bigger crowds here every week. So tell a friend that we're here every Thursday with the Wholesome One, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right. Let me throw this one at you along the same line, same conversation about giving positions versus battling for positions. So Mario comes out, says this is the deal. TVD's the starter, is the quarterback. He's the leader. Otherwise, positions are wide open. We're battling for positions. Okay. Who, besides TVD, you take quarterback out of the mix, who do you think is the best player on this team? Not necessarily the most talented player, but who's the best player on this team?
That's that's a rough one. I probably would have to say Zion Nelson.
See, I was going to bring somebody up too, because I did the same thing. I was like, and obviously I don't know the team like you do, but I went through and then I was like, I don't know that I could say one guy is the best team player on the team. But anyway, if you select one of the best players on the team, okay, Zion Nelson, perfect example. And let's say he didn't get hurt or have this precautionary surgery done to lead into the season. So what do you do as a coach if you want this approach to be that, hey, we start fresh, we go out there, we practice, you got to win the job. But you know that Zion Nelson's your best left tackle. Do you do everything you possibly can to try to wipe your memory and just watch what's in front of you and make an evaluation?
That happens. Some of the other things you do is some coaches get very nitpicky. So, all right, you're the man, you're my guy, you're the starter, cool. Act like it every single day, every moment of every day. Mark, I've seen coaches get extremely nitpicky. Like, oh, you let so-and-so beat you to the film room, huh? So-and-so beat you to the weight room. So-and-so lifted a little more than you today, huh? Interesting. He finishes conditioning faster. He's beating you in the hundreds. Like, you just hear all these little things. And even when it comes to film, hey, if we get, let's say, for example, we're playing up against an odd front and the linebacker's creeping and now it's turned into an even front, you're calling that out. Hey, what's the right call? And your backup raises his hand and answers and you point to the starter and he's like, Coach, I just blocked the guy in front of me. I don't know. That gets taken into account. So the reason why you do that is because you know that the starter is the better player. Now let's talk about refining all of your skills, especially on the offensive line, because it's more about a unit. You're right. And all five have to work together. You know, give me a B+ all the way across the board, then give me an A+ left tackle, and then like D, C, B, C across the board. I wouldn't want that. Give me a cohesive unit that plays together and plays sound, hitting the pad together at the same time, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to those position battles, you have to understand that everything is going to be taken into account. And if it's close, they get extremely nitpicky. Now, if it's a big gap there, you want to continue to to kind of wash off a little bit and refine a little bit of the skills on the outside to make this an even better player. One of the other things you could do is, let's say they're a left tackle, start playing them at right. See how they are in that stance. Heck, Mark, put them on second team. See how they react to it. That's what it's all. It's a mind. It's psychological. If I put you out there with the second team against the first team defense, you're used to going up against the first team defense. Go dominant. Oh, coach, they pay attention to all those little. How do you respond to that? You know what? Hey, you're starting right tackle today. Coach, I'm only a left tackle. Oh, okay. They take all these little things instead of like the great players, the great ones who are workers. Put me at center, coach. I don't care. I know what to do. I know what he's supposed to do. I know the calls. And again, it could be messing with them, and it could just be testing them to see how they will respond. How are they going to handle that little slight of adversity when they respond, and especially on the offensive line?
Wholesome Ones here, breaking down Miami football. There's a question on the screen about running back. How do you think that's going to be handled? Again, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, it doesn't necessarily matter who starts, but rotation, how do you see that playing out?
What a battle. Okay, you got Citizen, borderline 5-star running back out of Louisiana, dude, top 5 in his position. And he looks amazing. Completely kind of reshaped his body. He was naturally a good, solid looking dude. He's shredded up, ready to go. You got Jalen Knight healthy. You have Donald Chaney Jr. healthy. We have the transfer running back from Ole Miss, Parrish, Henry Parrish. So those are 4 right there. And again, doesn't really matter who the starter is, but I think Donald Chaney Jr. is coming for number 1. But I'm going to be honest with you, Mark. I think it's going to be Henry Parrish. From what all accounts of what the coaches had to say coming out of spring, what they've been saying in training. And Thad, thank you, Demetrius Robinson. Thad Franklin, 5 4-star backs. Now, that is the big dude, 6'1", 230, 235. But he can move. He can move. Donald Chaney Jr. is like that 5'10", mighty mouse who can move, but he won't go down easily. Jalen Knight and Henry Parrish are more of like your scat back guys. And Citizen is a nice blend of all of them. He's a balanced back. I would put him and Chaney in the middle as balanced guys. All right. But I think Henry Parrish, as far as the scheme that Coach Josh Gaddis is bringing, based on his last season at Michigan, is they're going to use the running back. They also use the running back out the backfield. They motion him into the slot, use him in one-on-ones with linebackers. And the 2 people that fit that the most, in my opinion, would be Henry Parrish and Jalen Knight. Now, when it comes to going downhill and running that football and going right at people, I think that's where you get Thad Franklin, and you also get Donald Chaney Jr., and they get to mix it up too. So it's going to be a consistent battle, and it's going to be about creating a really good mix and using the players in the best position. Right, but again, I'm going to say number 1 to start out. I'm going to go with Henry Parrish as our starting running back.
All right, folks, appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. It's Thursday night. That means we got the Wholesome One here to answer your comments and questions. And you guys have been busy arguing Florida and Miami tonight. That seems to be the topic of conversation in the chat is all Canes and Gators.
Man, we going at it with those people.
Yes, that's what it's been here.
I just, Mark, again, I think it's a sin that we don't have that game every year. That needs to be played every year, not just for the fans, but it's part of the 3 big schools in the state. Winning the state championship in the 90s used to mean something. Again, I was born in the mid-90s, so I'm not going to argue old man football with you. But that meant something. Taking pride in being from the state of Florida and playing for one of the big 3 It used to mean something, but it doesn't mean much anymore. They've got us the last 2 times we played them, so you know, nod to them as far as that. I don't bow as far as think we're gonna lose to them anytime we line up, but most times we line up against some Marcus pretty good games. I mean, 2019 was a very, very good close game.
Mm-hmm.
They probably would argue that they played their worst and Miami played their best. That's the only reason why. Whatever. Make whatever argument you want to argue with that. 2013, we got them pulled the way they scored late to make the score look a lot closer than what it really was. Those are the last 2 times we played them. And then we didn't play them again in 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18. And, they never matched us up in bowl games, which I definitely thought they should have. But that game and being able to claim the state championship to me is huge. And again, I'm one of those people when it comes to strictly about football, I can respect the University of Florida. I don't like their fans. I don't like some of the derogatory and racist and evil things they've said. But football-wise, it's a great game that you want to watch. University of Miami playing the University of Florida. In the swamp or down in Miami Gardens, I think either one would be a game. Even neutral site was cool. And if we want to do the neutral site thing, fine. If you want to do that every year, in 24, 25, they pop up on our schedule again on a consistent basis, 24, 25, 26, 27. We start to get that series started up again. So I think it's a 4-year contract. We played them 24, 5, 6, and 7. I'm hoping that we continue that all the way through and sign a 20-year contract to play each other every other year, home and home. That's just every year, home and home. Those two teams should play each other. And I don't care. And yes, we all know Florida ran away from it. Cool. Doesn't matter. Let's stop being babies about it. Let's stop being kids about it. Line up. Let's get together. Let's give the people what they want. And, once they fire this has-been Napier, get a real coach in there, it'll be some really good games.
You've already pronounced sentencing on him even before the guys coached a game.
It's bad, Mark. Okay. Mark, I'm telling you, if I will gladly eat crow with no problem. But when it comes to that, I've seen too many group of 5 coaches make this jump. They don't pan out. What happened to the young man? What was Coach Fuente? Memphis. All the hype in the world. Goes to Vatek. Man. Not Napier. What's the other dude? Tallahassee. Was at Memphis too. Ooh. It's just not working well for them. It's a big jump. It is a big jump. And him stepping in. What's the Auburn head coach?
Brian Harsin.
Now, although they did take Alabama to the brink, it's more about rivalry. But he's kind of meh. Okay, that group of 5 ball and the step up, especially at some of these elite, world-renowned programs. Take a coach like Chris Kleiman. You take a coach like PJ Fleck. They go to these jobs that are lower tier or middle tier. They take those jobs, try to build the programs up, have some really good years, but majority 7-5, 8-4, around that range, putting a couple people in the NFL, building a nice program. But I'm not saying don't take the job, but it just hasn't shown to be statistically the best outcome for these group of 5 coaches that take big jobs with the big name and big boosters. And
I got another one for you. Tom Herman, Texas.
That hurt. I'm a big Tom Herman fan. I think he's really good.
I thought he was a good hire.
And I don't think he should have been fired either. It was the COVID year, in the middle of COVID. He was just cut. Now he said some crazy stuff. I get it. We all know how PR works when it comes to when you say certain things and treat certain people. And when that young man came out and said that it made them
Yeah.
feel like they were slaves,
Yeah.
no bueno. He got to go. But as far as football wise, he
No.
had one down year.
Well, I would say he had a lot of down years, but the season that they put in 2020, they went 7-3. They won a bowl game. It was not a fireable year on the football field, and every game they lost was a nail biter.
Right. Now let's be honest. What's the big difference between him and Steve Sarkisian?
Well, so far Herman's better. So far.
And this is with Herman's recruits. Sarkisian is still a little shit. And I'm rooting for Sark because I want to see Texas do well. It's one of the three teams I root for. SC, Texas. I want to see them do well, man. I want to see them do way better.
Why do you like Texas?
The first game that I can remember, a lot younger, I was 9. SC, Texas, in that championship game. Those two teams. That was like the first thing that I could like really visibly saying, Dad, can I watch this with you? Sure. And sit down and watch the game.
That old 9.
Yeah.
That game was that long ago?
Yeah, what was that? The 05 championship? 05 season, 06 championship.
Season. Yep.
I turned 10 the next year, 2006. No, wait. No, it was right. 2006 championship, 05 season. So 4 months later, I turned 10. Yeah. It's in June. Yeah. 5 months later. And you know about the ties there. See similar programs and private schools and great history and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up, and a thing also that I loved about it is the black quarterback. Texas having a black quarterback on a stage like that who was doing it, throwing the ball and running. He was dynamic, all that kind of stuff. He went on to have a so-so NFL career. Someone called it trash, but as far as being one of the must-see players for that last season, he was up there.
Sure. Chuck C, appreciate the super chat. Thanks so much for that. Glad to catch you guys live. Been traveling a lot, watching videos though. Thanks for that, Mark. I'm ready to go. Some position groups look deep, and I love the attitudes that we are seeing building things right.
Chuck C, thank you. Thank you for that donation. You said something in there that I really love to speak on. Attitude. I'm currently reading a book right now that's entitled, and probably a bunch of books have this title, Attitude is Everything. And it's one of the biggest things that we can control in our own heads with the way that we do things. We always use terms like control the controllables and focus on what you control, but you can control your attitude. What happens to us in this life and the way things come at us, and that's just not football, it's just life, period. It's about the attitude you take towards it. You find out about any crazy news or a heartbreak, or you didn't get into that school, you didn't get the grade that you wanted. It's about the attitude that you take towards it. And listening to our young men speak for the first time, and I've covered this program since 2018. 2018 under Mark Richt was like that, but it was different. We didn't have the talented team to go out there. But as far as the attitude and them using certain terms, not, the standard is the standard. Green tree is sacred ground. The turnover train isn't our motivation. We got young men, ages 18 to 24, who's talking about work, talking about effort, talking about preparation, talking about attitude. Not about the scheme or defending their coach, or they're talking about those things. And that's important because what that says to me is that we're teaching the young men the right thing off the field, and it's translating to on the field. When they're talking about the attitude and the effort and the preparation that we put in every single day. because, like I said, it's the only thing you can control. It's the kind of attitude I present to this. You want to walk around angry and mistreat people and down talk people, that's a negative attitude. I'm not saying you got to walk around with a smile on your face all day and like, oh, la-di-da-di-da. No, but it's about the way you influence other people. You know, I say it all the time on live or on my personal podcast, the Three Pillars podcast, where I talk about this attitude. In the Dr. Maya Angelou quote, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you've done, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Okay, and that derives from the attitude that you bring and how you influence other people. And it's just a beautiful thing to hear our players, because that means that it's resonating with them. All right, you listen to young men speak in high school, and what it says to me a lot of times is what's happening in the household. Okay, it's what's in you. What's in you really comes out of you when it matters. Not just when the camera's in front of you, when you're angry, you're really excited. What's in you eventually will rise to the top and come out. So when I hear our young men speak about those things, I know that they're taking the right attitude to football and to life. And that's a beautiful thing. And shout out to Coach Mario Cristobal and everybody that influences our players and his staff for that.
Falconer X, appreciate the super sticker. Thanks for being here as always. Falconer Jones. No, I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, Falconer Jones, appreciate that super sticker. And then Falconer Jones here. Finally, a real show. Love H1H. Maybe he's talking about all the other shows I do or just don't measure up. That's how I'll take it.
No. Thank you for your kind words, Falconer Jones. I appreciate that. But we want to respect everybody, regardless whether they represent Miami or not. We want to respect Mark, number one, for having us here and giving us a chance. But we want to respect everybody. People, even if they disrespect you, let's respect them. It's important. But thank you for your kind words.
Wholesome One, if you've got a couple minutes, we can finish with one question that came in concerning...
I got plenty of time. Talk to me.
Most important position battle.
Ooh, man, that's what I'm talking about. Middle linebacker. Can somebody give me something? Okay, I've been starving for a legit middle linebacker. Since Shaq Quarterman left. I'm sorry, Shaq. Talked a lot of trash about you. I really apologize. Okay. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was young. Okay, I was young. I'm sorry, my brother. Because since he left, oh man, okay, we've been struggling. And,
is he still on an NFL roster?
Oh yeah. Starting strong side inside backer for the Jaguars right now in their 3-14. Yeah, he was a 4th round draft pick, first down, second down-ish linebacker. Made his bones as a special teams guy for a little bit, but towards the end of the season, has been starting for the Jags. And we may find out tonight if he started the Hall of Fame game that went down. So, but man, we got a transfer. Because Mitchell Agude is the defensive end. So the transfer middle linebacker, he's wearing number 40. Chat, help your boy out. What's the brother's name? Johnson is his last name. What's his first name? And it's so hard to find it. There's no official roster out right now for fall 2022 yet. We got to wait until tomorrow when they let it out. So Caleb, I want to say Caleb Johnson is his first name. The chat will get on me for not knowing that. I'm sorry. I think it's Caleb Johnson, number 40, inside linebacker. Yep, Brian Taylor. Thank you, Caleb. It's between him and Wes Forsyth as our middle. The other or Chase Smith. We're gonna have to find a combination of 2 linebackers to give us something. Okay. The other guys at that linebacker position, whether it was Tyreek Austin-Cave or Corey Flagg, Tyreek Austin-Cave has moved on. Shout out to him. He went to West Virginia. God bless you. Corey Flagg and some of the other people that's still on the roster, We'll see. Thomas Davis, former defensive end, former outside linebacker, trying to figure out where to put him. He's in conversation at Mike Backer too. So we got like a 3 or 4 man race with one of those two backer positions, because the other one is called star, which is like our striker, where you have Tyreek Stevenson and Gilbert Price and kind of battling out over there, with Al Blaze Jr. battling over there. Then you got Mike Backer, I would say would be Caleb Johnson and Chase Smith in that one too, Corey Flagg Jr. and West Passaic. And your will, again, you got West Passaic. You have Keontra Smith, number 4. He's in conversation over there too, as your will. I mean, he's went, Mark, from January when the staff got here, he weighed in at 5'11", 207. He's right now 230. Okay, verified 230. So he put on some good weight. Put on some good weight. So that could either mean he's gonna play some strong side or a Mike. And then you can't forget one of the old veteran guys, number 17, and Wayman Steed. I mean, I've always been a good fan of Wayman Steed. It's just he's been hurt. Tore his ACL back-to-back seasons. He's just been injured. And I really like his speed. I like his IQ to the foot. Like, he kind of knows where it's going, but he's one of the linebackers recently that has the foot speed to get there. It's just his tackling technique was off. All right, so he get there, he's reading, and then he'll be right there and lunge, not go through somebody's lunging. So, we got a couple guys that's just names right now, names and numbers. But we definitely, I would say, not only Mike Backer, Will, the strong side, the biggest battle is us trying to find a core of 2 or 3, depending on what scheme we're going to be in, 3-3-5, 3-4, 4-2-5, because our Coach Kevin Still is a multiple coach. He doesn't really have just one defense. We got to find a linebacking core and find it too deep after that. But being able to find 3 guys who operate like, or 2 guys who operate like a triangle, keep it in front of them, and even wherever the ball goes, they continue to keep the ball in between that triangle and flowing to the ball, whether it be, let's say it's a weak side stretch, and the weak side is the one to take the blocker, and the Mike is coming down, and the strong side is the cutback defender. Vice versa, strong side run, the strong side takes the block. The Mike is still a field, and the weak side is the backside defender. Either way we come up with that, we gotta figure it out. All right, it's a very vital position. And when you have some good talent and size in the front, and you're borderline elite at safety, so at corner, but really big at safety, you got to figure out the middle. All right, because that 4-2-5, it was a big hole left in the middle of the field where people were getting right over our linebackers and getting right in front of our safety, so we couldn't really be able to mesh that before the ball had completed. And tight ends and slots were kind of eating us up. What they would do was a button hook with that running back and go right over top with a slot on a deep over, so that Mike Backer is supposed to be dropping in the cover 2 scheme or dropping in the cover 3 scheme. They read the curl route. What do they do, Mark? They come down. So when you do that, what happens if we can't create pass rush that allows time for that deep over or the post or the deep end to sit right there, and there's no one there because they've influenced our Mike Backer, or he can't cover in certain instances. So, I'm hoping that with the new staff, with the new personnel, that not just somebody, but a couple somebodies show up and are prepared to go on a nice journey here as a part of the linebacker corps for the University of Miami.
Join our Discord. It's a chat room. If you don't know what it is, it's a chat room, college football talk all the time. Get on over there. You go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, sign up there. Get on over to the Wholesome Ones channel here on YouTube and lock in there. And otherwise, that should about.
I got some questions for you, Mark.
You do?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
at the end of every show, we got to do like a national question, or at
Okay.
least in your time of watching football question. One of my favorite parts, because it's good for me to be the interviewer, not the interviewee, and allow you to be able to talk. When it comes to edge rusher, that position has kind of become a big thing recently, maybe within the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Become a thing where, DN was always DN, and there were college defensive ends that kick butt and they go to the pros and all right. But what are some of your, let's say, give me five of your favorite edge rushers within the last 10 years, and why?
Oh, the last 10 years.
Yeah, give you the last 10 years. What about them made them jump off the screen? Was there a trait about them, where they just high effort guys and with great get off? Did they just have a knack for making plays? Especially because Ohio State's been spitting them out like crazy. I would say 3 of them come from Ohio State like that. Yeah. Coach Larry Johnson is.
Of course, I'm going to be biased in that direction because they were making plays that I was rooting for them to make plays. See, when you first threw that out, the first name that came to mind was going back more like 20 to 25 years.
Go ahead, then. Let's say all time.
I was going to start with that just because I think this guy, when he hit the field in college and then even in the pros, that from a physical standpoint, and when I mean physical, I don't mean physical strength. I mean more speed, athleticism, and his size, his sheer size. He was just a different guy and kind of ushered in a new wave of guys, and that was Javon Curse.
The Freak.
Yes, the Freak. So that's why he got that nickname.
I like him. I like him because I think he is the modern player. I mean, could run like low 4.5s, early 4.4s. He wasn't lighting up behind. He was a 250er. Could hold a ruler. Did you hear about that? He could hold a ruler. So here's a crazy story about Javon Curse. He could hold a ruler from his pinky to his thumb at the NFL Combine. He could grab a full 12-inch ruler and like squeeze it like that. Not just like, it touches it. No, he can grip it. Like that is just mind-blowing. The player that he was. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. But you can continue on what you in your story.
Who else was? Man, I wouldn't be able to come up with a good description on how they were different players because this guy was thicker. This guy was, and they played right around the same time. Curse was a little bit older, a couple years in the league, a few years before, because of course Curse was in that Super Bowl game against the Rams. And this guy was still in college at that time, and that's LeVar Arrington.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Was he the original number 11? Did he start that phase where they give their best?
I don't remember anybody 11? Else, doing that before him. But
he wore 11 there at Penn State. Defensive Cameron Wake wore 11 at Penn State his last year because he earned it. He was 91 and then he got 11 as a senior. Like it was a nice run where 11 was given to like the best player.
Yeah, he also he won a game with a blocked field goal too on special teams, getting in there and blocking a field goal against Minnesota one year. And had a crazy kind of Roy Williams kind of play against Ohio State one year where he just catapulted over the line. That's it. Wow.
That is ridiculous. Yeah. Imagine him trying to grip a running back out in the backfield. Now, statistically, in the NFL, it's kind of but it could also be. I get people's point about the NFL is more about scheme and organization. When you get drafted by the Cleveland Browns, you might as well just say, "Well, there goes my career." Unless your name's Zach Thomas.
The way it's been. Yeah, unless you're him or here recently you talked about another DN. If you're Myles Garrett, it's off to a nice start in his career.
And when he went first overall, I was like, really? He didn't really strike me as this big time elite prospect. But a couple years into his career, he's blossomed. He's blossomed well. So your three that you brought up are LeVar Arrington, which, I mean, he was an edge rusher, but he also was a backer, like a true linebacker in some instances. Javon Curse. And who was your other?
Arrington, Curse, and Garrett.
Okay.
I'm looking at Curse's NFL stats. He came out into the game. So that Rams-Titans Super Bowl was his rookie year, and he was defensive. He had to be. I don't see it here, but he had to be defensive rookie of the year in the NFL. He had 14.5 sacks his first year in the NFL. That was his best season statistically. Then he went 11.5, 10, 2, 9.5, 7.5, 7.5, et cetera, and down from there. Yeah, he hit the scene big and then didn't sustain it. Had a nice career.
Yeah, I mean, I think he played 10 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
I give kudos to people that can hang around. I can only imagine what the stress of that body. He played big time ball, even though he's a Gator. He played the SEC. He went on to have a 9-10 year NFL career. So I definitely respect him. I wish because if you look at his intangibles, if the combine was videoed now and like turn into this big spectrum as it was then, he would probably be the well-known person. Because the other guy is Clowney, but it's just like Clowney's NFL career has just been so. And we picked him first overall off of one play. I mean, he never touched more than 8 sacks in college, so it was like picking him first.
LeVar Arrington had one big sack season in the NFL, 11.
Right.
Other than that, he only had 23.5 career sacks. He played
right because he wasn't a true edge.
That's true. He did. Yes. Yeah.
I think he's top 15 all time in tackles. Like he was all over the field.
Top 15 in the history of the league in tackles. I can't imagine. No.
Oh, okay.
Had 3 seasons over 90. But only played 7 years. Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney. So it sounds like you're with me that that's one of the most overrated plays in history.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's dynamic.
So cool. That's the thing is if you're just looking for a wow factor, like him just leveling that dude, I think of Davion Smith, just flatten him. But in terms of making a play, he didn't get blocked. It's a missed assignment. He just ran straight through the line.
I'm with you, dude. I for one, again, respect to these people. This man's 6'5". He's a millionaire. I'm a guy trying to be able to coach and recruit those kind of people. I get it. But if I'm going to be able to be honest about it, just picking him first overall just wasn't especially because theoretically you're speaking, you got Whitney Merciless, you have J.J. Watt, and you're adding to that Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
You can learn to rush the passer from Whitney Merciless. He can learn how to be physical and attack players from J.J. Watt. It was a perfect mixture, theoretically speaking. But then it was like, okay, well, what are you? Are you a 3-4? Are you a 4-3? Because you've been multiple in this time under your defensive coordinator where JJ's played inside, outside, stand up. JJ's played all over. And you add Jadeveon to it and you're like, okay, 2 positionless guys, it usually doesn't work well. But then if you use him as a true weak side, he can't do that. Use him a true strong side, he can't do that. Use him as a stand-up Mike, he's not that good at that either. So he'll always be one of the big what ifs, in my opinion, when it comes to what could have been.
Yeah, Clowney's NFL actually this past season was one of his best. If you just look at sack totals, 0, 4.5, 6, 9.5, 9, 3, 0, and 9.
And again, not trying to come off as a hater. I appreciate him and what he's brought to the table, but we just kind of sometimes call a spade a spade.
How good do you think, and I'm going inside here because he was such a wrecking crew in college, Ndamukong Suh in the NFL?
Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. I mean, you know, when I talk about interior line,
yeah,
statistics are different.
Yeah.
Just like I'm the same person that wants a nose tackle in the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame because I think that he's good enough to do it when it comes to Vince Wilfork. But Suh has had some dominant plays. I was happy for him to get his ring. Thought he should have won one in 2018 when he was with the Rams, but whatever. He lost to the Patriots. One of the best single games we saw in Nebraska versus Texas, but even when he went on to the NFL, he played bully ball with grown men. Like from his rookie season, I think he was rookie defensive player of the year in the NFL, and he's been a consistent interior presence, not just on his name, but the way that he can affect the run game. Now, could he have been just maybe 4 or 5 seasons too late? Because then the game turned into a passing game the latter half of his career, and that's just not his game. He's not going to come out and double swipe rip you. That's just not Ndamukong Suh. He's going to bull rush. He's going to maintain gap presence, and in the run game, he can affect you. I don't even think he's ever touched more than like 6 or 7 sacks pass rush wise. So, he's just not a pass rusher. He could definitely influence the game in the run game and in the interior.
You're basically on it. Statistically, obviously, the analysis of the way he plays was phenomenal. But statistically, you might be a little surprised. Sack totals: 10, 4, 8, 5.5, 8.5, 6, 5, 4.5, 4.5, 2.5, 6, and 6.
Okay. I guess I was looking at this latter half. He had 10? Whoa! That'd be rookie season. Yeah, as a rookie, he had to have 10. He was dominating. His rookie season was 2010 or 11?
10.
Right. And this is when that was my freshman fall going into high school. And I just remember him being like the talk of the combine, the talk of the pro. And I was just like, who is this dude? My dad's like, watch him. And I mean, I could never be that. I mean, I'm not 6'4", but man.
I hate when they don't have TFLs on here. He the only pick of his career, his rookie year.
And I think it might have been a pick 6 too,
right? It looks he had a touchdown, but it was on a scoop and score.
Oh, okay.
He's got 3 scoop and score touchdowns in his career. Yep.
And he's a free agent right now, dog. I can't wait. I want him to be a Raven. I've always put him on the Ravens on that and stuff like that. So you're looking for his TFLs? Okay, so according to what's this website? ProFootballReference.com.
Oh yeah, love that site.
How many TFLs would you say he had in his career?
What's he played? 10 through, so he's played 12 seasons. I'm going to say that he's had 83.
Give me one more.
97.
130.
Oh, that's 13. That's about 11 to 12 a year. Average.
13-6 when he only played 6 games. 13, 17, 9, 21, 17, 11, 18,
Okay.
9, 21, 18. Like, good Lord.
Okay.
That's just what he does. Like I said, he's not a pass rush specialist. He is a effect the run and bull rush your guard into the pocket of the quarterback. And I mean, when you spend your first 2 seasons, your introduction to it's one of my favorite players. So if you don't know this, but his introduction at Nebraska to prove a point, they lined him up against Richie Incognito on his first day. What do you think happened?
Well, Incognito turned out to be a tremendous NFL player. Has been to several Pro Bowls. I'm thinking Sue abused him.
As an 18-year-old freshman, blew him up, and everybody went, "Oh." And Richie tells this story. Look it up. He tells the story all the time. He's like, "All right, I'm used to big man on campus, bully, walk around, put a freshman out there in front of me." I'm like, "All right." It blew the whistle. Next thing you know, he's looking up in the sky. Sue went straight through him. And the reason why, he's always like, there's some people you don't talk trash to. And someone told me, don't piss him off. Don't talk trash to him, because then when he's angry, he's really tough to deal with. So, of course, Richie Incognito starts talking trash to him before they line up. And didn't go so well. Did not go so well for Richie.
I always felt bad in those situations for the offensive linemen, because they have the tougher job.
What do you mean?
It's almost like a wide receiver on a DB. The DB's
Not
got
a
the tougher
pass
job.
rush. Explain. Talk to me. Explain.
Well, the defensive player is the aggressor.
Right.
The offensive line, the offensive lineman has to protect. He's got to backpedal in pass protection.
Right.
He's got to backpedal, and the defensive lineman has space, and he's in the aggressor mode, while the offensive lineman is in more of a defensive stance of protecting ground. It's just,
well, this was like board drill, not 1v1 pass pro.
okay.
Board drill. So they just like lined up, helmet to helmet, blow the whistle, boom.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was just like, oh.
So I'm just talking about in general. I got you. I'm talking about in general that I just think there are certain positions in sports, and specifically here in football, that it's tough. It's tougher to play, in my view. And one is anywhere along the offensive line, but especially in space
Islands.
as tackles.
Yeah.
And then the other one is to play corner, or to, any slot corner, anything, but especially wide. All that you're facing a great athlete. You're maybe facing the best athlete on the field, if you're talking about speed, leaping ability, all that. And there's grass everywhere, and you don't know what they're going to do.
We've talked about this. I still think quarterback is the hardest position to play in sports. But as far as like one-on-one, not much is beating out left tackle and corner.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Tackle period nowadays, man, because nowadays we're spitting out edge rushers on both sides. Defense,
Yeah.
Strong side defensive ends and weak side defensive ends.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one before you kick me out of here. If we're going to do edge, I'll give you my 5 edge rushers of all time. Terrell Suggs.
Well, you only gave me 10 years. We're
I
going
said
to go
all time.
Okay,
I said all time after
let me work on my 5 while you work on
it. Terrell Suggs. You got to put T-Sizzle up there. Derek Thomas, Alabama. Joey Bosa. My Lord. My Lord. Watched it in person in high school too, so it was pretty scary to watch that. Now, Chase Young, I would want to put in there, but it would be about like what I think he could do. But we're talking about if we took go all time, these are people who played for 3, 4, 5 seasons. So he had one great season and it happened to be his last year. Couldn't get on the field. Why? Because the Bosa brothers, 2 other top 3 picks were in front of him. So he couldn't really beat them out. So I would have to say Suggs, Thomas, Bosa, Sapp on the interior. Oh, we're doing edge. My bad. We're only doing edge. What's another great edge rusher? Those are 3 right there. I could say Nick, but I think Joey had the way better statistical career. This is a unpopular one. A lot of people don't know about this guy. I'm going to say Vic Beasley, Clemson.
Okay.
Man, he flew off the ball. Horrible NFL career. But as far as just go get the quarterback, I would put him in my top 5 of all time. And edge rushers. And I'm going to have to say Willie McGinnis, USC. So Willie McGinnis, that would be, so that's 5. 1 I would have to say is Suggs. 2 I would say is Thomas. 3 is Joey Bosa. 4 is Vic Beasley. And 5, Willie McGinnis.
Here's my 5. This is a heavy NFL lean.
Oh, that's not fair. Go ahead.
This is just how I think of things. And I've told you, if I could start a channel and clone myself, I'd do an NFL history channel. Here's my 5. In no order. LT, Too Tall Jones, Deacon Jones, Reggie White, Charles Haley.
And we're going off of their college? I mean, that's what I was looking at. That's why
I'm going off their NFL career. Okay. It's just easy for me to do.
That's different that way. Yeah, you're right.
And I tend to favor the old guys. I know.
That's fine. I mean, you talk about the reason why I even show a lot of respect and love to them is, could you imagine what they could have in this passing league right now?
Yeah.
Imagine LT as just a 3-4 edge. Not a 3-4 who had to stop the run and take on tight ends and take on fullbacks. He has all those records in the run era. And I'm one of those, I respect the old school. Of course, I am where my feet are now, but we are here because of what people of the past have done. So, no need to disrespect them or down talk them. Just in certain aspects, I just think certain people can go. And if you pick LT up and drop him in 2020 or 2022 and let him fly off the edge, just like I think if you take Ray Lewis and pick him up and drop him in 1960, he might still be out there, even when people are a lot nastier and aggressive, he still would be out there. Now, some edge rushers, I think, would struggle against the power back then. And we can't forget not just the originator of Deacon Jones, but who has the most career sacks in the National Football League?
Yeah.
Bruce Smith. Can't forget about Bruce Smith.
Technically, it's Bruce Smith. Deacon Jones will tell you I shouldn't even say Deacon Jones will tell you that. Historians will tell you that if sacks figures were kept then it would be Deacon Jones. But Bruce Smith, yes, is the all-time sack leader. Yep. Absolutely.
Can't forget them either, man. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate you letting me go over in overtime. I don't know if you got somebody waiting on you.
No, I just got a lot of work waiting on me. That's it.
No problem.
So the earlier discussion about a lot of Florida football and Florida Gators matching up with the Canes in 24, 25, 26, 27, and what could have happened or did happen in the past and what could have happened the last 10 years reminded me that I left the link in the chat, everybody. Probably is long gone and lost at this point. But if you want to see what a division would look like with Florida State, and Miami, head to my main channel and look up SEC 24. I just posted this video yesterday, and check that out.
Oh, I gotta look this up now. Hold on. Mark Rogers TV.
It's one of the last videos I posted. With all this expansion and realignment, this is my, what I call my SEC kill shot. Falconer Jones says right here, great video. It's my the SEC wants to really put its foot down.
Ooh, 5.3K. Uh-oh. All right now. I know what I'm listening to. As soon as we hit up, I gotta hear this. I've always wanted us in the SEC East. I think it's great matchups with Georgia and Florida and Tallahassee. I say take Miami, Tallahassee, and Clemson. Drop us in the SEC East. That's all I'm saying.
We're taking a few more.
All right. You got to. Georgia Tech and places like that too. North Carolina, I think would fit in well too. But you know me, Miami to the Big Ten. Mark, thank you all so much for having me on. As always, God bless and go Canes.
Absolutely.